let's start with this story that you wrote about the Nebraska legislature. The headline, Dove Caucus, driving effort for Nebraska lawmakers to champion, quote, biblical values. Here's the lead. A group of conservative staffers in Nebraska's legislature is seeking to fundamentally change the culture of the state by persuading the lawmakers they work for to champion laws that, quote, reflect the righteousness and goodness of God, according to a memo outlining the effort obtained by the Journal-Star. The group, known as the Dove Caucus, is aiming to load up the queue with socially conservative legislation in the 2026 legislative session in an effort to codify conservative, traditional, and biblical values while putting left-wing state senators and their staffers in the awkward position of having to play defense. Talk a little bit about developing the story then.
Yeah, so I got a hold of the memo. It's unsigned, it's undated, and the story says that. And so when I was able to really dig into it, I basically first had to go about trying to confirm its authenticity and talking with staffers on background just to see, have you heard of this? And the name then that kept coming up was Joel Hunt, who's the legislative aide for Senator Glenn Meyer. He's from Pender, Nebraska. I had that on enough authority that I felt comfortable then that the document was authentic. I knew from staffers from both sides of the political aisle that this is a thing. And then from there, it was really just trying to gather reaction and also trying to figure out if it was against the rules, whether this is proper, that this group of professional staffers are kind of uniting in what amounts to a lobbying effort for the lawmakers they work for. The legislature's rules have very little to say about kind of the actions of lawmakers and staff. And so the answer I kept hearing, and it's really, I think, attributed to Arch, mostly in the story, Speaker Arch, what a staffer does is kind of up to the senator they work for. And what is and isn't appropriate is dictated very autonomously within the office of a senator. Unfortunately, wasn't able to speak with Senator Meyer for the story. I called him the Thursday before it published, and he told me to call him back on Friday. I called back on Friday, left a voicemail, and still haven't heard back from him on Tuesday. So not sure if he had directed the effort, if he'd authorized the effort, and to what extent he was aware of the effort, because neither he nor his aide, Mr. Hunt, was interested in speaking with the newspaper, apparently. What we lose in the story with Mr. Hunt not participating is how many folks are signed on. And frankly, if he had talked to me and told me that, well, nobody signed on and this is dead, and maybe it's not a story at all. And so the mystery kind of made it more than what it might be, honestly. But we won't really know, and probably until the legislative session. Regardless of what you think about the policies inside of it, which include things like covenant marriages that limit the grounds on which either party could seek a divorce, there's something that would have allowed school teachers to teach creationism. But the hook was this idea that staffers are trying to persuade their bosses in what amounts to a lobbying effort.